Hello everyone, welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. I am your host on this incredible journey that you're about to see. It's an amazing labour of love. We like to celebrate all artists throughout Northland. So if you've been on our podcast, thank you very much. And if you'd like to be on our podcast, please reach out to us, either just through Facebook or email hello@northlandartistsconversation.co.nz. I'm going to get one of the editors to put that in there at the start. Man, yeah, it's crazy. Where are we? We're kind of the middle of, what are we? First third of September. Starting to get warm, starting to get a lot more nicer days. It's very cool. And I am joined once again after quite a while in the driver's seat of the podcast. I'm joined by producer Andrew. Producer Andrew, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. not too bad indeed. So it's great that you're available to do this. You kind of, a question for you, when you were prepping for all of this podcast, did it all come flooding back to you like Celine Dion, or was it all very much like, what do I do again?
It was a bit of both. I came back, my template was all over the place for the audio, so I had to rejig it. And few minor hiccups, but we'll get there. Yeah,
well, good things take time, right? We'll get you back doing a few more of these. But it is very cool to have you back behind the chair. Editor Lee J, you have done an amazing job. I'm not really too sure what camera I'm meant to be looking at now, so I'm just going to make this really awkward in the edit. Anyway, I'm going to go to my dedicated camera. Today's guest, Andi Podesta. You know, it's interestingly enough, a good friend of the podcast, Michael Boter, had connected us a little bit earlier, and for one reason or another, we just kind of couldn't make it happen at that particular point in time. She reached out to us again via Facebook, and it was great to have her, and we were able to have a wicked chat with her, and she was like, yeah, look, I'd love to come on. And I was like, cool, awesome, booked it, solid as. What an amazing guest. She was a little bit nervous before we started, but once we kind of got into the swing of things, she was great. She was awesome. She was so cool. And it kind of, this part of podcast really solidified the fact that I can be an absolute idiot. Let's just say you got to kind of get to the last third of the podcast when you'll hear my real idiocy start coming out. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's sit down and have a conversation with Andi Podesta. I remember when Blood Alcohol was due to come out, he was firing through like sample images of the cover. Yeah. And I was like, that's too violent. That one looks like she's still got a kidney in her mouth. And he was like, yeah. And the one he ended up was great. But that was Mike's always been a very, very big supporter and of the podcast. And we're certainly very gracious to have him on, especially quite early on as well. So we'd like to have him back on. Mike. Yeah. Andi has just said, look, I'm reading between the lines here. It's the subtext. You should come back on the podcast. Thank you very much. Cool. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, Northland being so spread out, and you have all of these. You have your groups of writers over here, and you have your potters over here, and your people that can draw. I'm not in this group because I suck, but they're over here. And then you've got your other different creative people. So it's nice when we can highlight different people from different disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so let's crack into it, because I'm very fascinated about your writing and writing style. Now, I want to go back, and I mean way back.
Yeah.
Were you a creative kid?
Yeah, I was. I think it came about from necessity, really.
Okay.
We moved a lot.
Right.
While we were kids.
Yep.
I've got two brothers, and Yeah, TV back then wasn't huge, and of course we didn't have the internet back then
Yeah,
either.
well, yeah.
So yeah, we moved a lot, and because of that, we had to sort of explore and find new friendships and create these friendships. So yeah, we'd create lots of clubs whenever we moved to a new place. So we'd start up adventure clubs and have it was a great way to draw people to us when we were new in a school or in a town. Kids would come to us and want to do what we did. So we'd go out exploring and on adventures, and it was always great.
Oh, man, that you're really singing to my heart. Because I remember that as well. I mean, I remember there was me, my brother, Brett Stewart, Toby and Simon Jones, who lived just down the road from me and my brother. We had we repurposed a woodshed. And then we made, like, you'd take the white masking tape, and we had we had a skate club.
Oh yeah.
And we just like S and then K, and man, we were so cool.
Yeah.
I've never been cool, but yeah. And it's so funny because I moved around quite a bit as well. So I'm born in Christchurch, lived in Whanganui, and then in Gisborne, but I'd lived in like 5 or 6 houses in Gisborne from the age of like 6 to 18.
Yeah.
So, when you do move around, you kind of have to get inventive with things. What can you remember some of the clubs that you had?
Yeah. We had in Omokoro, we had the Adventure Club.
Wait,
and
Omokoro?
Yeah.
Okay. I have plenty just outside of Tauranga, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and in Hawera we had a club. I can't remember. It was a number sequence, and it was down at Naumai Park, I think it is.
Yeah.
So all around the place we just had different clubs. I can't remember all the names we called them.
That's crazy. It's so funny you say Hawera. My grandma and granddad, when they were alive, they lived there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we would go from Gisborne.
Yeah.
Come through the middle of the island, come out the other side, and go to Hawera.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, that's just brought back a lot of memories.
We did that trip a lot of times, actually, when we were kids. My dad lived in Gisborne, so we'd go there. We'd go there all the time. Be on buses or mainly buses, actually.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The big ones where it takes because you'd have gone down to Palmy and then all the way up around, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Far out.
Yeah.
Dad from Gizzy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What did Dad do?
Radiographer.
Oh, right. Hospital.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. X-rays and stuff. Yeah.
And my dad was a big part of my creativity as well because when we were kids, I can't remember them. I know they read to us a lot, but most of all, my dad would just tell stories at night time. And he would just tell the most amazing stories, and it was always my brothers and I being the main characters in it. So,
that's cool.
That was just magical, and I think that really sparked my imagination and my creativity from a very early age.
How did you find? Something's wrong with my microphone there, Andrew. I'm very quiet. Let's give Mark's mic a little bit more herbs, shall we? There you go. It's majestic.
Not too much.
Not too much, though. Thank you. How was it moving around so much as a kid?
There are pros and cons with that, I guess. Yeah. And whether, I don't know if it's a pro or a con, but it kind of stuck it in my head that I want to move all the time. So even being an adult, it's been hard to sort of stay put because it just seems like, it's more exciting if you get up and move to the next place. Yeah. So I think I went to about 6 different schools, maybe 7 schools, and around about 11 different homes. And I can't remember how many towns, but all the way from Stratford down to Greymouth, Australia, a couple of places in Oz.
Oh, wow.
Omokoro, New Plymouth. And then after, once I became old enough to leave school, I just kept travelling a bit more.
Oh, really?
And
that's
when
amazing.
I went over to Gisborne, lived there for a while.
Yeah.
And Taupo, and then I went overseas on my OE, and
That's great. When did you live in Gisborne? Just random question.
That would have been around about 87 through to 89.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
Quite a long time ago.
Well, yeah, no, 87 is Form 1 for me.
Yeah.
All the way to third form, 89. I remember 89 very specifically. I don't know why. What sort of creativity were you sort of learning about in your younger years? Did you always want to be a writer? Or did you go, I'd like to do art, but I suck at art? I don't know.
Probably like my early years were down in Greymouth, and
right, yeah.
It rained quite a lot down in Greymouth, so
it's a mining town, right?
Yeah. And a drinking town.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but so I think I sort of started writing then. I started just in a diary, and that wasn't very good. But once it was just crap sort of writing, just of...
Yeah, you're writing out your feelings like...
Yeah.
Dave won't let me kiss him, and Melanie pull my hair. I could never write to save my life. I never had a journal or anything. I was just terrible at it. Music was my thing. I listened to a lot of music. Yeah.
Well, I did piano lessons, started piano lessons when I was down in Greymouth, and...
Wow.
The teacher told me it will never amount to anything.
So
I took up the guitar.
Oh, really?
After that, so I played classical guitar.
How'd you get on?
Oh yeah, I think I'm pretty good at it.
Nice.
I do have a few sort of a bit of anxiety in playing in front of people.
Yeah.
But I have managed on occasion. But
that's cool.
Yeah, for my own enjoyment, it's really good. And I've started violin lessons as well now.
Oh, wow.
I've just played with Sistema down at the town hall in Auckland.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was a pretty amazing experience.
That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Far out.
Yeah.
And how long have you been playing the violin now?
Not long. I had lessons from a lady out in Nangaroo for about 6 months. That was about 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And left it. I think the violin broke. Well, it wasn't actually broken, but I didn't know that you just pop the bridge back up again.
Oh,
anyway. So I just started again at the beginning of this year.
Oh, wow.
Again, so I've been getting right into it.
That's so cool. Doing something like that is very freeing.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
Music and poetry, and so like I didn't start poetry until quite a bit later. I think with all the travelling and all the different schools, I didn't do very well at a lot of my subjects, so English wasn't a great subject for me.
Yeah, okay.
But like my diaries that I kept when I was a kid, I carried on with that. So when I started travelling overseas, I kept a journal. And I think that was a really good discipline as well, because it made me, if it wasn't every day, it was every second day, I would write. And I'd write a lengthy summary of the day or my last few days.
Nice.
And I always made sure it was positive and happy. And I think it's quite funny looking back at all those. I was away for 3 years, so I was writing almost every day. And then after that, I came back. Quite a few years later, I became a mum, and I started journaling my experience as a mum. So, and from that, I think I realised that I'd missed the writing. I missed the keeping the journal when I was travelling. So, after doing that, or even before I was a mum, I volunteered for a historian to do a bit of typing for her out in Tutukaka.
Nice.
From writing for her, I realised that suddenly history kind of came alive for me. All of my schooling had sort of been history was my worst subject. It was all about mainly about England and battles of long ago. But from writing for Mim, I sort of found that New Zealand history really came alive for me.
Absolutely.
And then my writing took a different turn. I asked Mim, of course, asked this lady, this historian, if she would mind me making note of some of these stories.
Yeah.
And so I started collecting stories, and then I'd go home and I'd read. I've always been a big reader, so I'd read these old papers past or online newspapers from over 100 years ago, or read books. I'd go into the library, into the Northern Room, and I started collecting stories of New Zealand and funny stories. So I've gone ahead, and for a decade I collect these stories, and at the moment I've got a book in at the publisher of this collection of
how exciting.
Yeah, but it's not just it's not like New Zealanders that you read about. This is a different type of history. This is like people like me who would write a journal, but they wrote a journal 100 years ago, or they.
Oh wow!
So I've found journals, I've found newspaper articles, I've found all these funny stories that are all part of our history and of the making of New Zealand. You know, the real people.
Yeah. It's excuse me. It's interesting nowadays, you know, because a lot of those stories would have been traditionally passed down orally. You know, whether it be Māori or European, you know, there's a very strong tradition of passing down all manner of stories. I mean, my dad shared some hilarious stories with me of his time growing up in Greymouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His dad was a miner.
Oh.
Yeah, so when you see Greymouth, I was like, man, have you like lived everywhere that like my family's been? This is crazy. Next thing you're going to tell me, I lived in Christchurch. No, okay, yeah, it's very cold. But as you know, as sort of the years have gone on, that passing of oral history and knowledge and stuff like that really seems to have diminished somewhat.
Yeah.
You know, so very, very cool that you're kind of going back and almost really digging through the archives to find these, you know, funny colloquialisms or, you know, humorous anecdotes that would have had, you know, that have come back in the day that are probably still relevant now.
Yeah.
And a lot of, in some ways, you know, no one's really going to be able to relate to say I missed the piss pot and got it all over my legs. Not really relevant. I'm sure some guys can relate after having a big night on the sauce, though. So with the travelling side of things, was there much overseas travel, or was it all sort of New Zealand based?
No. When I was a kid, we lived in Australia and just inland from Brisbane. But when I went on my OE, in my early 20s. Yeah, I was away for 3 years, so spent around about 10 months in China, and then I went on to England and travelled all around Europe, and that was really exciting. That was wonderful. Met some awesome people. Oh, I worked in England for a while, and one of the friends that I made there, a Welsh girl, I talked her into travelling with me, so we went to...
Oh, wicked.
It was so great. We went to Ireland to start with.
Yeah.
And we ended up in a pub, of course, in Dublin.
Yeah.
And managed to, just chatting to people there, managed to get a ride up to Northern Ireland, up to Belfast.
Oh, wow.
And on the way, the bloke offered us a job as well. So we ended up working in Northern Ireland. Yeah. And then after that, so we stayed 3 months there, earned a bit of money, saw the sights. learned to fly. Well, I didn't learn to fly. I did fly a plane there as well. Just meeting people, just chatting to people.
Yeah.
And then we went around Europe together and met a whole bunch of Australians that we got on really well with.
That's so cool.
Ran out of money in Spain, and
Oh.
they wanted to come with me. I told them I had to go and work, so we ended up in the Highlands in Scotland, and me and 3 Australians and my Welsh mate, and it was just awesome.
It's okay. It's not a sentence I'd ever thought I'd have heard someone say, ran out of money in Spain, so got a job in Scotland.
Well, I wanted to go there. My ancestry is sort of Irish and Scottish, so my whole goal was to get up to Scotland, and I wanted to work in the Highlands. So, I knew I had enough money to get from San Sebastian to Edinburgh. So,
wow.
Well, no, I had to borrow from them, actually. So maybe that's why they came with me, because I owed
want to make sure
money.
that your investment comes back to them, right? I just need a couple $100. It's like, well, we're going to travel with you to make sure we get it back. Oh, that's... And are you journaling every other day, or is it like... Are you down to like once a week, or wherever the whim takes me at that point?
Yeah, no, I was open to any ideas and any suggestions, and I love sort of just freewheeling it and just finding out what happens. I think that's the best.
I think Kiwis are so good at that.
Yeah,
very much to make shit up as we go.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how we started this podcast. Producer Andrew's laughing. So. When did you kind of realise that you wanted to make that change from just journaling into something a little bit more, I guess, serious or professional?
Not too sure when that happened. Like, I started collecting all those stories and things, but I sort of realised that I wrote, even in my journals, that I wrote dialogue quite well. And I ended up going to, I go to lots of plays if I can. I read a lot of books. And a friend of mine took me to, or wanted me to go to watch one of her plays she was in.
Yeah.
And the play, well, the acting was fantastic. The directing was really good. But I sort of found that the content was lacking a little bit.
Right.
And I made the comment to my friend, you were great and everything, but the play, I think I could do better. And she said to me,
go on then, have at it.
She did. She said that.
Of course she did.
She said, go on, do it. So I'm like, all right, I will.
Challenge accepted.
So I did. I took one of these stories from this historian from Mimringa that... I loved the story, and all it was a little bit of information, and I tried to find a little bit more information about the family, and I did, and I kind of wrote all this down. And I thought I could turn that into a play, but there were a whole lot of gaps, so I created a bit more of a storyline through the facts that I knew, but put a lot of fiction in it, and I wrote this play, a full-length play, and around about 2 hours, just short of 2 hours, and I entered it.
Wow.
And I entered it. Oh, and I sat in with directors, and I got a book from the library on screenwriting,
Playwriting.
I actually got a book called Screenwriting for Dummies, but anyway, the playwriting was more sort of Googling. I'd go in and sit with directors. I'd go into rehearsal. So I learnt this new craft because I decided I was going to turn this into a play. And I had a lot of direction, and I told one director, I said, look, I'm going to enter it in a competition. And so I gave myself a 3-month deadline. So I wrote this play in 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah. And he said, it'll take you years.
Yeah.
Some people, he said, you can't kind of win anything. Don't expect to get anywhere. He said he's been writing for quite a few years, hasn't won anything. So I entered my play in this competition in 2011, a PANS competition, and I won. So I won a nationwide award for playwriting, my first play that I wrote, and I wrote it in 3 months.
All right, okay. I just got to make sure I got that clear. Your first attempt at a play, which people can take years, writing, rewriting, workshopping, honing, and then you did it in 3 months.
Yeah.
And then thought, fuck it, I'll just enter it into a competition, and you won.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, so I got a great big plaque, a great big platter.
I'm struggling to even get me. Okay, so that's natural talent.
Yeah, well, I realised that after that. I was a bit sort of shocked as to what, and I had to phone them back. They phoned me and told me I'd won, and that took a little while to sink in. And I phoned them back like half an hour later. What does this mean?
Is there some kind of clerical error?
So I had no idea. So I won $500, and I got my name on a big platter, and it was presented to me, and photo on the paper and all the rest of it. So yeah, so I realised that from my journaling, and like I'd write down when I was travelling, I'd sort of write down dialogue between me and my mates because they were funny, when I had such a great time. It was so funny. And I realised that I do that dialogue well. And I do it even now, like even if I sit in the cafe or I'm down at the park or anything, I'll hear a little bit of a conversation, and I can build a whole story from just a little snippet of overhearing someone. And I love it. I love the banter between people, and yeah.
I still struggle to wrap my head around the fact that your first crack, you really win something. Now, you say you're good with dialogue. Do you have sort of like a style of conversational dialogue that you write in? Are you like Quentin Tarantino, who writes very amazing, unique dialogue? Or are you like Aaron Sorkin, who writes very witty, pithy dialogue? Two great writers of words, but very fundamentally different.
Yeah.
Do you know where you kind of sit?
I kind of like Taika Waititi, sort of have you seen any of Simon Pegg's movies?
Yeah. The Cornetto trilogy, which is you don't know what that is?
I don't know that one.
Oh.
Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, cool. Now, that's part of the Cornetto trilogy.
Okay.
So, in Shaun of the Dead, when Simon Pegg goes to the shop, he buys a red Cornetto. And Shaun of the Dead's all based around red. In Hot Fuzz, he plays a cop. And he goes to the dairy and he buys a blue Cornetto.
Oh, wow.
And then The World's End, with the alien apocalypse, he buys a green Cornetto. Oh. So it's called the Cornetto trilogy.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. That's amazing, eh? And it was funny because it was done as a complete accident. It only happened when Simon Pegg went to the shop when the zombie apocalypse happens, and he kind of just is so oblivious to anything. He just happened to pick up a red Cornetto. And then it became the thing, and it was just like, oh shit, that's amazing. Yeah, I love Simon Pegg's dialogue. It's very snappy, very witty. I loved him in Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's so good in that as Benji the tech who desperately wants to be a field agent, but doesn't look anything like Tom Cruise and understands that he has a place. Yeah. Wow, okay. So that's Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright type dialogue.
Yeah.
Man, I mad respect for those guys because they can write they write really quick dialogue that sounds a lot of banter. Baby Driver. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you stumble into that style?
No, I don't really know it.
It's just you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep it humble, right? Kiwis keep it humble.
Yeah.
That's so okay. So you've got, what have you got sort of under your belt at the moment? You've got your play. What was that first play called?
It was called The Blue Horse. I've sort of renamed it Mott, but which is kind of Irish for moth. But,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But as a nickname for one of the characters. But yeah. So yeah, that one. Another play that I wrote came third as a short play for Pans as well, and that was called Stuck, and that was based on me actually getting stuck in the deck, where I put my leg through one of the rails, and so I wrote a little play about it. My daughter was taking photos rather than helping me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, just hang on, Mum. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I've got this.
Yeah. And then I wrote another play, a musical, but it's using like Mamma Mia uses all ABBA's songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote this this musical using all Split Enz songs, so it's called Give It a Whirl, and so that was highly commended for Play Market to play plays for the young, and yeah, I was. And the judges loved it. They did contact me privately and just say if you get copyright, we'll happily distribute it for you.
Wow.
I didn't know that copyright was such a hard thing to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've not managed to get copyright.
No.
So that
Split Enz
was.
songs are not cheap.
Oh, really? Well, they're not available at all.
No.
I don't know about any price. I didn't even get that far.
Yeah, man. Okay, yeah. So, I knew someone that tried to get a Split Enz song, tried to get permission to use it.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't possible. But he ended up giving... It's a really weird story. So, do you know the band Crowded House?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the first single they ever released, Don't Dream It's Over?
Yep.
Yep. Great track. Very beautiful. That song is kind of licensed all around the world for various different things. And this is probably over a decade ago, but Neil Finn's royalties were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for that one song.
Oh, wow, yep.
Yeah, because it's not cheap to buy.
Oh.
Here we go. Here's another example. The band Europe, they had that wonderful hit in the 80s called The Final Countdown.
Yeah.
Love that track.
Yeah.
To buy the rights to play that song once is $500,000. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rights for songs, very, very can be very expensive.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. It's gross.
Well, I love my play. I really thought it was something quite special. And I sort of thought, well, if it was on at the Sydney Opera House, maybe for 6 months, maybe it might get enough money to pay for this.
Have you ever tried sending it to the Finns?
I had been in touch with Mike Chun early on.
Yep.
And yeah, he basically said it's all out of their hands. There's two big music companies in America who own them, own the rights, and So I haven't completely given up on it. I'm sort of thinking that someone I know has read it just recently, and they've got a bit of a buzz on about it and said it needs to be seen. We need to get it out there. This is like our Beatles, This is
absolutely.
the equivalent
in
Australia as well. Not just New Zealand.
No, they were huge. They were massive.
So so I've not given up completely. I just need to sort of figure out another way to go, maybe, and get it big, because I had maybe about 6 production companies who wanted it, and about 3 of them put forward for the rights for the music. Yeah, they wanted it. People were pretty keen on it, but they were small production companies. I think if anything, it needs to be really big.
quite a production company with a lot of money behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Look, I don't do this very often. Neil and Tim Finn, if there is ever some small chance that you are either watching or listening to this podcast, which features artists from Northland, New Zealand, and you can find it in your heart to get in touch with us, please contact either myself, hello@Northland Artists Conversation, or what is your email, Andi?
andipods@gmail.com.
Please reach out to either of us. Give it a whirl. It would be an amazing play, and if we could get your music, that would be even better. Wow, wouldn't that be the icing on the cake?
Yeah.
So we've had John Toogood on the podcast.
Oh, it's Andi with an I.
ANDI Pods, Pods, at gmail.com. So we've had John Toogood on the podcast, who is the lead singer of another very well-known New Zealand band called She Hard. So yes, we have a bit of clout.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Who am I kidding? John was just a really nice guy and put up with my shit. Super lovely. But that's wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so I've got those, and I got the book out, Screenwriting for Dummies, as well, from the library. I got it in an op shop. So I've written a couple of screenplays as well that, I don't know. I entered a movie that I'd written about, because I kind of like I like ghosts, and I like zombies, and I like all this sort of stuff. So I'd wrote a screenplay for a ghost story, bit of black comedy, and I entered in a competition, and I got feedback from it. The main feedback was them saying that it sort of seems like it's written more for stage, so I need to work on things a little bit better than that.
Yeah, it's they're two very different disciplines.
Yeah. So I need to practice a little bit more, and I've written a couple of TV series as well. I just keep writing. So I wrote from history. Yeah. There's this. Frederick Edward Manning, he was an early settler here, and he became a Pākehā Māori up in the Hokianga, and he wrote a couple of amazing books, and one of them was called, I think it was called Good Old Times in New Zealand by a Pākehā Māori, and I turned his book into a screenplay as well. And I thought that was really quite good, but I've also turned it into a play as well called Beef and Melons, because it was I won't tell you about why it's called Beef and Melons.
Go on. If it's inappropriate, that's fine.
Well, no, he was just, when he arrived on shore, he got into a bit of a punch up with a Maori bloke.
Bit of beef.
Yeah, so that's what he was saying, that he's beef, and he wanted to know the Maori bloke's name. Yeah. And the translation was an eater of melons. So yeah, he
beef
sort of
and
said,
melons.
"This is it, beef and melons.
That's awesome.
Put your guns up." Yeah,
that's so cool.
So that's pretty neat. And I wrote a one that I really like is a TV series that I called Penny Black, and it's about a ghost story that I've written. About a woman. It's kind of like Agent Anna meets Ghost, sort of a
Agent Anna.
So that's sort of the Kiwi TV show that was on some years back. Sort of a real like the Johnsons kind of.
Oh,
sort of,
yes.
Yep, Agent Anna.
Yeah, we are the Johnsons. Another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ghosts.
Andrew's getting.
I'm surprised you don't know a TV show for once, bro.
Oh, thanks, man. I am.
Someone stumped you.
Yeah. Well, look, we've all got our weaknesses sometimes. I'm a bit of a nerd. For movie and TV shows and music, so yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so no, I hadn't heard it. I've heard of We Are the Johnsons, but no, Agent Anna. I'm going to have to find it now and binge watch everything, because that's what I do.
Yeah, so I just keep writing things. I just my imagination goes a bit wild, and you end up in a zone as well. I love writing, and I love poetry as well. You can just kind of like get into a zone. You can create characters, and that's the wonderful thing is your characters can come to life.
Absolutely.
Like this play that I've got on.
Seems like a timely transition. Some of you that are watching the podcast might have noticed that there is a flyer on here. I'm going to hold it up to the wide. Now going to hold it up to my camera. Please, tell us a little bit about Piss Off Pere.
So...
I have spelt Pere correctly, is that right?
Yeah.
Said it correctly? Cool. Excellent.
So, well, peri is short for perimenopause, so it's a play about menopause and perimenopause. So, it is...
I thought we were talking about the sauce. Okay.
So,
Sorry, my bad.
Oh!
I really thought you were talking about peri sauce. I was like, where the fuck is she telling spicy sauce to go away? I don't understand. Okay, now that we've established that I am actually an idiot, let's talk about perimenopause, shall we? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So
Go. Sorry, I've just... Go.
A few months ago now, I had a friend of mine, Anna Morton, contact me and say, would I be interested in writing something for the Fringe Festival that's coming up at the end of September?
Oh, yeah.
So I said, yeah, keen as. What is it? And she said, well, it's about menopause. And at that point, I thought, oh, I'll have to think about it. So I wasn't that keen as soon as I heard the topic.
Yeah.
But I got home and I thought, wow, there's actually a lot of funny stuff here.
Yes, there is.
There's a lot of sad stuff. There's a lot of angry stuff, but there's a hell of a lot of comedy there.
There's a lot of menopausal stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of the stages you go through.
Yeah.
You don't go through that with hot sauce. It's just eat regret. That's about it. Sorry. Why the fuck would that even be a play?
You never know, eh?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, all right. So what was the initial jumping off point for you? Because if you're building characters and stuff like that, do you go, here's Sally, she's going through menopause. Let's be funny. I don't.
Again, I think it just starts with dialogue. It just starts with a funny thing that you've heard, or at my work, everyone's so bloody secretive about menopause and perimenopause, and there's no need to be. And it's wonderful when you get groups of women who are going through it or just don't care, they're just let's just talk about it.
Yep.
And so if you're in a job where there's people who are going through it too, the laughter about it is part of the thing that can help you get through.
Absolutely.
So in one of my jobs, just hearing a couple of people talking and thinking, oh, that's kind of funny, I can kind of build off that. So yeah, that's where all my ideas come from, is just a little spark of a conversation.
And then how long did it sort of take you to flesh out characters and story and work out a story arc and, that sort of good stuff?
It doesn't take me too long at all. I think with this one, it took a bit more research, because although I've gone through all of this as well, I wasn't aware of some of the symptoms or some of the things that can affect people.
Right, yeah.
So things that I was going through, I didn't even know could have been or were menopausal.
Yeah.
So I had to do a fair bit of research and talking to people and reading, of course. And
that's crazy, though.
Yeah. But, just people don't talk about it. So once I sort of found the research, it doesn't take long to write something up at all. Once you get in the zone, and I just love it when you get in that writing zone. You just
definitely
can't stop. You don't want to watch TV. You don't want to do anything. You just want to write.
You've got 100% focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those moments when you can kind of just just hit it out hard. Many years ago, actually before drama school, I actually wrote a short film, and I was hugely influenced by Quentin Tarantino. Not in terms of like really inappropriate dialogue. I just liked his the natural back and forth that often occurs at I don't think some writers capture well.
Yep.
So I sat down and wrote a short film, and I would get up in the morning and go to play a couple of games of squash. Then I'd go mow lawns because I was a lawnmower for a living. I ran a guy's business. Then I'd have another couple of games of squash after work. Then I'd teach theatre sports, or I would go do play rehearsals that I was in, or I'd go do band practice. And then I'd get home, and then I would sit down and write.
Yep.
Now I was like 23 at the time, so a lot of energy, needed fuck all sleep. Not so much now. But I would sit there from like 9 at night until like 1 or 2 in the morning, just like banging stuff out on do you remember the old Brother typewriters that had the little LCD display, and you could go, oh shit, I can backspace that, as opposed to whipping out the can of Twink.
Yeah.
I had one of those, so I banged out that whole thing on there. And man, I remember those days. I remember when you're just so in the zone that the world disappears, and you know, many times I'd look at my watch and be like, oh shit, it's 4, I've got to be up in 2 hours and play squash. And then you just forget about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How do you find yourself, like, once you've started a project, you just kind of guns blazing and that's it? Or do you kind of work through a process and then you get to a point and then you're either like, cool, I can't really do much with this, I'll park it for later? Or do you hit that point and then go, yeah, we're off to the races?
I've got a lot of projects that I've sort of parked up, but the ones that I know are good are the ones that happen straight away and happen really quickly. Yeah, although I have got a lot that I need to research in some of the writing that I do. So
right, yeah.
There's a bit of a balance there with some of them, but I do like deadlines. So like and I love competition as well. So when there's a competition for a play or I think that works really well for me to give myself a deadline. I've got 3 months.
Pressure performer.
I need to do it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you, and I when I heard about this, I've sort of asked every subsequent writer, okay, I'll just ask the question and then we'll go from there. All right. Are you a pantser or are you a planner?
No, I'm a bit of both, really.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. I've got to plan if I want to write anything to do with history. I've got to plan that. Yep. Probably more of a pantser, and and then at the end, everything all kind of, if it doesn't work, then I've got to plan it out, and I don't know.
Yeah, and it's so funny. We've had Mike on here. We've had Lauren Roach. We've had Catherine Lee. We've had a lot of authors of Marino Bergman. We've had lots of authors, and as soon as I found out that pantser or planner thing, I was like, I've got to ask everyone.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because people go like, no, I'm a complete planner. I've got a whiteboard and I structure everything out. Or you've got the people that are like total pantsers and they just write. And then they trust the process will get them from point A to whatever point B looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I sort of pantser mostly, but I think, like, I tried this book as well. I've written a novel, and it's not good. I've got to be honest.
Okay.
but
we appreciate the honesty here on Northland Artists Conversation.
But it's something that can be worked on. So I've got the bones of it.
Yeah.
And that all was off the seat of my pants. But is that the right saying?
That's it. Yeah.
But and getting to the end, it's like, okay, what the hell now? So at that point, I got a great big board, and I started doing a bit of a mind map as to what was happening with the characters, where my holes were in the story, and I figured it all out. Planned at that point. After the fact, I've done it all. It's a mess. Now I've got to plan it.
Yeah.
But, so that one's parked, and I don't know what to do about it.
Is that one that you can kind of come back to and look at it and maybe restructure some pieces?
Yeah, absolutely.
And go, well, I know why we went here, but that doesn't line up with anything that happens in the third act, or...
Yeah, I think that the story that I've written here is a lot of... I think I sort of get influenced a lot with what I'm reading as well. So the start of my story doesn't match the end of it, and I think I kind of went to a darker place of the things that I'd been sort of reading or watching, and I like the end better. So I think I've just got to go right in and sort of rewrite from the start. And ground
level rewrite.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man. Andi, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad. Now, just before we quickly sign off, this is the Piss Off Peri, not Peri Peri Sauce. This will be on at the Octagon Theatre on Saturday the 28th, Saturday the 5th of October. And there'll even be a Q&A at the end of the 5th of October one as well by Dr. Melissa Gilbert, a 45-minute post-show menopause Q&A. Exciting.
Yeah, I think it might be at the beginning of it, though. I'm not sure. But all the details will be on the event finder.
Cool. And then on Friday, the 11th of October again.
Yeah.
Andrew and I will be sure to attend the 5th of October one. Thank you so much for coming on and sitting down with us. This has been an absolute blast. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh dear, there you go, folks. Andi Podesta, man, I don't know about you, I thought she really killed that. I thought she did a great job, and it was cool that she was able to have a laugh at me. Honestly, I don't know why I thought she would write a play about peri peri sauce. I really don't. Like, I'll admit it's not my finest hour. I have, and there's been other podcasts like that as well, where I can think of a one where I was told that there was something called paper clay, and I said, why is it called paper clay? And I was politely told that it's because there's paper in the clay. So yeah, look, it's not going to be my last idiot moment, that's for sure. There will be more to come. So please stick around and watch us. Producer Andrew, what was your favourite part of Andi's podcast tonight, man?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I guess it's just another person that's travelled a lot to places that I've kind of looked at going myself. But
yeah.
I don't know. I probably
like
never
Hawara.
will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking more Spain and Scotland.
True. Yeah.
I guess if you're gonna say it, I kind of fuck a popper back to Scotland. So.
Oh, true.
Yeah, to hear her go, I ran out of money and went back to Scotland leaves me a bit optimistic. So must be where all the money is.
Exactly. I learned a whole lot tonight, and we were talking with her once the podcast finished, and I always walk my guests back to their car as well, and we sort of have a bit of a debrief, and she just lovely. She's a prolific talent, man. As she mentions in the podcast, she's got like so many projects on the go. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the whole winning that award on the first ever thing she wrote.
She's like, I've never written a stage play before. I'm going to write one, submit it, and win.
And accidentally win it.
Yeah.
I guess if you're talented and you're skilled at it,
And when she was talking about the different plays that she's written and then the scripts, it's like, yeah, wow, okay, this is prolific indeed. Anyway, I'm going to go back to my camera. Thank you very much. Big thing for me with Andi. You know what? She was actually just really cool. It was lovely to talk with her. once she got going and really opened up, she was a lot of fun, like a lot of our guests. I think the big takeaway for me was that, she started journaling when she was younger, and then she kind of did it sporadically when she was doing her OE and travel. But then she came back to it. And then she was able to transition from journaling into something that she loves, which is, just writing in general, whether it be stage plays or movie scripts or books, or any other non-fiction books as well. It's so cool. It's so cool. I'm incredibly jealous of people that can do that, and whether that be the amazing authors that we've had on here, Lauren Roach, Michael Boda, Catherine Lee, Marino Begman. That sort of discipline is something that I can honestly say I have a deep respect for, because I can't do it that well. I can sit here and talk and ramble on and make the the boom arm for the podcast squeak, but it's just the discipline of doing that. So, Andi, thank you for coming in, sitting down with us. Anyway, where can you find all of our wonderful podcasts? I'll quickly go through some details for you now. For the visuals, you can go to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at just Northland Artists Conversation. Just type all that in there. If you want to go for the audio, you can go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Or if you're using YouTube, you can actually use YouTube podcasts as well, and we will appear there. And again, that's all Northland Artists Conversation. You can also take the super simple route and just go to Google and type Northland Artists Conversation. We're everywhere. We're like the top, all the results. So check us out. Now, if you are someone that would like to be on the podcast, or if you've got a friend or a family member, or someone that would be a fantastic guest, man, we would love to hear from you. So please reach out to us. Our email address is hello@northlandartistsconversation.co.nz, all one word. Flick us, man. We'd love to hear from you. Or reach out through Facebook. That seems to be a big one. Or Instagram. You can do it through either of those as well. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to flick to my wide camera. Going to have a contemplative moment here. Actually, I'm going to have a cough. Producer Andrew, what have you got planned coming up?
Ooh.
That's why I coughed. Yeah.
Shameless plug. OBC's got some music coming out, maybe end of this year, hopefully, if we can all pull in one direction with our families and everything. Thank you.
Music videos as well from OBC. Shameless plug. It's a good time at the moment. I love spring. I love heading into spring. The weather gets warmer. People start coming out of that staying inside, it's cold, it's winter kind of vibe. And, it becomes very, very collaborative, and you start getting back in touch with people and having a good time. Man, I love that. I love those times of years. This is so cool. So, on behalf of myself, producer Andrew, Editor Lee, and the rest of the Five Elements media team that look after Northland Artists Conversation, thank you so much for choosing to tune in and either watch or listen and making us your podcast of choice. We really do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys real soon.